Welcome. Today I will talk about the urban development in Indonesia. First of all, I will give you a definition on the term urban development. Then I will give some key data of Indonesia. And in the next step, I will talk about the urban and rural population. After that, I will also talk about the urbanization in Indonesia. And last but not least, I will talk about the construction used in Indonesia. So first of all, the definition. Urban development can be considered as a system of residential expansion. It's a result of planning processes which involves engineers, architects, and planners. Urban development also includes systems for water supply, communication network, and infrastructure. Indonesia is located in Southeast Asia and is split in around 7,000 islands, of which around 6,000 are populated. The capital of Indonesia is Jakarta. Indonesia has a population about 280 million people and a land area of nearly 2 million square kilometers. Indonesia includes over 1,300 ethnic groups. In some areas, 44% or about 44% of the population live in poverty. Till the 1980s, the urban and the rural population grew constantly. About 2011, the urban population outgrew the rural and the rural population started to shrink. According to forecasts, the population will continue to increase. Jakarta is the largest city in Indonesia with almost 11 million inhabitants. Population density is in Indonesia very different. The provinces of Papua, Maluku and North Moluccas have an average of no more than 30 inhabitants per square kilometer. On Java, it is the highest and has more than 1,000 inhabitants per square kilometer. Java has a very high population density to its very fertile soil and capital city, which has led to large gaps in progress between the island groups. The government has therefore been relocating the population to less populated areas since 1969, which has led to protests. The long colonization periods by the Europeans in Indonesia, especially the Netherlands and Portugal, has led to a society in Jakarta that consisted of two or more social orders that coexisted without mixing. This planned urban structure, the basis of which was the separation of the individual ethnic groups, was even fixed in law in the past. Outside the walls of Jakarta, so-called kampungs were formed, with all kinds of ethnic groups which were characterized by dense population and narrow gases, which you can also see in the picture. Due to the economic outswing and the high density of the population, so-called superblocks were invited. The superblocks form a kind of massive gated community within major cities. These huge high-rise complexes, which often have a footprint of several soccer fields, contain not only apartments, hotels, bars, but also shopping malls. Such superblocks are always built in the middle of kampung areas or in places where kampungs used to be. This form of urban development is called leapfrog development. The urban development skips all stages of development, which usually precedes high-tech buildings. With the development of superblocks comes governmental control and is also leading to discrimination against the population which is living in kampung areas and also remains on the colonial times. So we are at the end, and I will say thank you for your attention, and you can also have a look on the sources.